Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Williams. I'm here to read you a bedtime story tonight, and I have a few friends joining me. So I have Maggie, and I have Willie, and I also have my good boy Ralph. And hopefully they'll cooperate. So I'm going to read a good story to you that is called, Is This a House for Hermit Crab? And the reason why I chose this book is because Miss Williams loves the beach. It's like one of my most favorite places in the world. So this book has some really good pictures, some really good illustrations in it of the hermit crab and how he tries to find a new home. So this story is by Megan McDonald, and the pictures are by S.D. Schindler. And the title again is This a House for Hermit Crab? Hermit Crab was forever growing too big for the house on his back. There he is. He's getting too big for his house. It was time to find a new house. He crawled up out of the water looking for something to hide in, where he would be safe from the pricklepine fish. He stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Until he came to a rock. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? Turning himself around, Hermit Crab backed his hind legs beneath the rock. The rock would not budge. It was too heavy. See that heavy rock? So he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Until he came to a rusty old tin can. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? When he tried to walk with the can on his back, it bumped and clunked. It was too noisy. He stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Look at him in that big can. That looks kind of silly. Until he came to a piece of driftwood. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? Hermit Crab crawled deep inside the rounded hollow. At one end, it was too dark. So he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. It's too dark in there. Until he came to a small plastic pail. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? Climbing up towards the rim. Oops, he fell right in. He clawed until he climbed back out. It was too deep. So he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. There he is in the pail. Until he came to a nice round hole in the sand. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? He poked his head down into the opening. A huge pair of eyes blinked back at him. Hermit Crab shivered as he scurried away from the big fiddler crab peering out of its burrow. It was too crowded, so he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. There's that crowded hole. And there he goes. Until he came to a fishing net. Is this a house for Hermit Crab? Poking his claws into the heap, he got tangled and caught. Hermit Crab wriggled and wriggled until he found his way out of the net. It had too many holes. So he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. All of a sudden, a gigantic wave tossed and tumbled pebbles and sand over Hermit Crab's head. He swirled and whirled with the tide and was washed back out to sea. Sleeker than a shark, the pricklepine fish darted out from its hiding place. In the tall seaweed, every spine on its back stood straight up as a steeple. Mouth open wide, it headed right for Hermit Crab. Hermit Crab raced across the ocean floor. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. Oh no. Scurrying behind the first creature he saw, it was a sea snail, and he hoped it would hide him. But the shell was empty. The shell was empty. Hermit Crab scrambled inside as quick as a flash and clamped his claw over the opening of the shell. The pricklepine fish circled the snail shell 3 times, but he could not catch sight of the crab he had been chasing. He glided off in search of something else to eat. When all seemed still and quiet, Hermit Crab snuggled comfortably down into his new shell. It was not too heavy, not too noisy, not too dark, and not too deep. It was not too crowded, and it did not have too many holes. Sounds just right to me. At last, Hermit Crab had found a new home, and it fit him just right. There he is in his new home. And at the end of the story, it has kind of like a facts page, and it tells us a little more information about hermit crabs. So it says, "What's it like to carry your house on your back? Ask a hermit crab. It would know." Why does a hermit crab need to borrow an empty shell? Because the back part of its body is soft, so it tucks this part into the empty shell. So here it is without its shell. Do you see that? They look a lot different. The hermit crab twists itself into an empty snail shell and makes itself a home. Then it hauls along its handy home wherever it goes. There it is. If an enemy comes near, the crab ducks inside. Then it shuts the shell by folding its claws across the opening. So you can see here that it's inside the shell, folding up inside. This hermit crab has grown much too tubby for its little shell, so it's looking for a bigger one. Looks good. The hermit crab pulls out of its little shell. Then it pops right into its new home. That's pretty nifty, huh? So if you're near the seashore, look for a shell that has claws. There may be a hermit crab lurking in there. What a crab. All right, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope you have a great night's sleep. Keep watching the story for more bedtime stories. Bye, guys.